What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday watch list. This week, as far as economic data goes, we do have CPI on Wednesday and we have PPI on Thursday. Pretty big economic reports. Typically, the day before, we'll be slow into it, or the morning of. We got to see how we react to it. So just be aware of that. You don't want to swing anything from Tuesday going into Wednesday because you just never know what that report could be. And I believe Friday we do have a consumer sentiment. So at 10 a.m., remember, just be aware of that. I always personally set an alarm 1 minute before the 10 a.m. Eastern time will be 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I always set an alarm at 6:59 a.m. 1 minute before, just so I don't forget, because once that 7 a.m. hits, there will be a crazy reaction. There's been times where, you forget and then it'll go the opposite way of a trade that you're currently in. So it's always just important to be aware of these consumer sentiment, 10 a.m., 7 a.m. reports. Going into the charts, right? This was a pretty crazy week. As you guys can see, last week's recap, all-time highs stand, right? This 524, 526 pre-market high. This 524 really though is the area where sellers just continue to step in, right? We form a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder, and that 524 got rejected pretty aggressive on Thursday, causing this huge sell-off. But then the non-farm payroll report was bullish, and this 512, 513 area held up really well, gave us a move all the way back above 518. Currently, we have to see how we're going to open up pre-market, either above 518, because 518 was a key level from back here, which was a previous all-time high back here, right? So we have to see whether we are going to hold above this 518 or below the 518. If we're above and we start holding and bouncing off of it, I'm willing to take calls back into 524. But if we open below it and start to reject below it, that gives us room back down to 512. And I am going to mark this 512 as a demand zone because look at the bounce we've caught off of it, right? Now, if we open up down here, 512, a break and retest below 512 gets us down to 510 on SPY. 510 to 508 is like the next area where buyers try to bring this back up. So anything below that, we do start coming back down to 505 and the 503 previous all-time high. That's the next structure to the downside. Now, if we continue to, we don't know if this is going to be the start of a new downtrend, right? As of right now, this is a high, a lower high, and we got to see if we are going to form another lower high here. But the overall trend is higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Until now, right? We failed to make a higher low. We're still above this one, so we have to see if this one's going to hold, but that's like the overall trend on SPY right now. And this 518 level is going to be like my pivot level, whether if I'm going to be bullish or bearish. And we just got to wait for those reactions, right? QQQ, pretty similar. This 446 to 447.60, you can see that every single time we do get rejected, 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 right? One time we did break above, we went to 449. So my level to pay attention to here is going to be this level here. If we can break and retest above this level, that gives us room back to 449 and 450. We'll see how we react there as well. But if we fail and start rejecting this area again, this is going to be a good short level for rejections to catch this move back down. This 434 area is a big demand zone on the QQQ as well. You can see that every single time we bounce off of this area, including Friday, we came into it, non-farm payroll report was bullish, and we just caught a bounce from it, right? Really just made a move up. So that's gonna be the level to pay attention to for this week. Anything below 434, you catch a sell-off down into 430. And it really looks like, it's 425. Okay, my chart's just clear, but 425. And then like this zone down here, 421, 424. Like these zones down here that catch big aggressive bounces, right? So this zone right here looks like caught an aggressive bounce, and then this zone down here. So these are the next zones that we could potentially come to below 434. These are the next targets. So just keeping it simple like that. Apple. Apple is one of my favorites coming into the week. It is approaching a big area. This 165, 167, right? I mean, Apple is kind of coming down with some strength on the weekly. Looks like it is just continuing to make lower highs, lower highs. So this 167, 165 is a demand zone. As you can see, we did catch a big bounce off of this area in the past, and we are approaching it again. So we have to see whether that level is going to hold or not. If not, I am expecting a flush down into 160. Down into 160 for Apple. I think that is a possibility. So keep an eye on it below 165. It's going to be a high probability setup for me. Amazon's approaching all-time highs. Had a lot of strength last week. It was up a little bit over almost 3%. We are approaching the all-time high as well here at 188, but you guys can see what happens here, right? Rejection, rejection. We have to see if we come up here with strength or not. So I want to break and hold above Friday's high, which was 186. It can be a small scalp from 186 to 188, which is only $2. It's a decent move, but I think preferably I'd want to see how we react at the all-time high. Because if it's a rejection, you can easily catch this back down, right? If it's a break and retest above, then you can catch that also. But we'll see how this one plays out. I think they just had news. I think they just had good news recently about chips. That they're gonna start making chips as well. So I know we have to see if that's gonna bring the hype up on this name. You know, Nvidia and AMD are really strong because they're chip stocks. So we'll see if that has anything to do with if Amazon can have any type of effect with that. Microsoft, you can see we broke and retested on the weekly. Just continuously pushing to highs again. Back above 428, 429. This could push us to highs. It's not my favorite setup just yet. One of my favorite setups this week is gonna be Meta. Meta showed a lot of strength, right? Meta came back into this 488, 480 demand zone that you guys can see every single time we come into this zone. We have some type of reaction with sellers and right rejection, rejection. We break above, we hold, we hold, we hold, we hold. Again, here we hold, and we broke the all-time high, which was 523. So Meta, as it continues to retest this all-time high, this is going to be our bounce area. Continue to take bounces off that 523 or above 530 gets us to move higher. So those are my two levels to watch, 530 and 523 on Meta. This is probably one of the highest probability setups that I see right now. Definitely keep an eye on those two levels. So for a break and retest above 530 or a bounce at 523. Anything below 523 starts getting us to move back down, probably back into 515. So I think this setup has potential since it was strong Friday, breaking highs. Other than that, Tesla, I don't want to be too early on it. We were a little bit bullish on Friday, I believe, on it. Right, we caught some type of or aftermarket kind of caught a bounce up. But this 180 to 183, 184 area is going to be a rejection zone for me. You can see we're just basing out right now, but overall the trend is to the downside. But this rejection point will be a level of interest for me until we get down to like this area down here, 152. I'm not interested in going long on Tesla just yet because you can see if I go to the weekly chart, that is the area that previously we caught a big bounce off of. This weekly candle is not looking too great for me just yet. So I want the 152 level. So below 160 is going to be a high probability setup for me as well in Tesla. So this is the game plan. 184 reject, 180 to 183 reject on Tesla. If it reclaims and breaks back above that, then that's when we can have some relief back to the upside. But as long as we're below that, you can catch rejections off this level back down into 160, below 160. That's where I watch it down to the 152 level, which is a pretty good move. So that is the last area we bounced off of. That's my main level of interest to go long on Tesla. So that's gonna be pretty much it. Keeping it simple. AMD, let's check these out real quick. AMD demand zone is not all the way down to 160. You see last week we did reject from 184 and we cut a huge sell off pretty much back down to this demand zone. So Keep on this demand zone on AMD 160. If we come down here, you could take slight relief bounces. Anything below that gets us down to 150. So this one has a lot of room down. If the market does go in a downward direction and Qs does reject and SPY rejects, we don't push highs, this is going to be a name to watch, as well as Nvidia at this demand zone, the 850 zone. You can see that we continuously, let's see if we can draw any type of trend line here. One touch, two touches. We did bounce Friday from this 860 area, 850 area on Nvidia. So let's see how we can trade this. Right. We have a high, lower highs, lower highs. Currently we're forming lower highs on this name right now on a short-term time frame. I'd probably just wait for reclaims of 900, confirm that the zone did hold. I'd wait for reclaims of 900 on this name. Anything, this could be a rejection zone too, so we have to see how Nvidia plays out. Probably need a little bit more data, more market structure before I make any moves. But if I am gonna make any type of move on it, it'd be at the main zone, so 850. Either bounces or break below. That gives us room down to 822 and these 800 levels. So that's gonna be the Sunday watch. It's pretty short, simple. I think my favorite setups and are gonna be SPY and QQQ due to the fact that these are gonna be the reason why the market is gonna move this week. If we reject highs or start pushing low, I think the market's gonna move with these. So I'm gonna keep an eye on these. I'm gonna be trading a lot of futures this week. Right? ES levels real quick is gonna be this 52, 57, 52, 52, which correlates with 518 on SPY. Same game plan, same chart, just different numbers. QQ, same thing. That 434 QQ will correlate with around the 18,000, 18,100 level. And yeah, just keeping it short and simple. That's going to be it for the Sunday watches. I hope you guys have a good and safe trading week.